Now we shall carry on with a panel discussion, the forecast of how Metaverse will affect your business, the new marketing opportunities in Metaverse, unlocking new revenue channels, and we have speakers who are going to join us now. We're very lucky to have Massimo Buonomo, who is Metaverse and blockchain expert, former UN global expert, joining us. We also have Dr. Hussam Yagi, Group Vice President, Moarid Media and Communications Group. And we have Shayer Ganglani, who is co-founder at Metacom. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Hi. Thank you.
Now, let's have this discussion. And I would like to start with my first question to Massimo, if I can. So, can Metaverse be used as a marketing tool for companies?
Sure. Now, as you know, let's explain the context of Metaverse first to understand how that can happen. We all know that Metaverse recently has been very successful, as Metaverse Oculus Quest virtual reality headset was already a top-selling Christmas gift in the United States. We know that big brands such as Nike are already buying real estate on virtual reality platforms, and some governments are even planning official events in the Metaverse. But why is Metaverse so important? Because of the Z generation. Metaverse is associated with gaming, and Z generation is made up of the consumers of the future. Generation Z consumers spend twice as much time socially interacting in the Metaverse than they do it in real life. So Gen Z consumers would like to see brands develop virtual stores, and Gen Z consumers feel freer to express themselves in games than in real life. Also, gaming experience and Metaverse help them relax and improve their mental health. Now, this is also Metaverse, a huge marketing opportunity for retailers. Every single company is thinking of Metaverse as a way to increase their sales. More and more large companies are hiring Metaverse experts to define their strategies in Metaverse. An interesting thing, though, is that generation of 35 years old and older people do not like so much Metaverse. Now, as we said, youngsters are tomorrow's consumers, and therefore companies without a Metaverse strategy will decline in the future. Gen Z consumers are the largest generation ever. They are nearly 30% of the world's population. Therefore, it's a must to understand the Metaverse and what role their particular customer base may be interested in. Let's come to concrete examples. Nikeland, for instance. In Roblox, Nike created a virtual world called Nikeland. Nikeland allows users to dress up their avatars in Nike clothing and sell virtual sneakers. Also, it includes Nike arenas, fields, and buildings that allow the player to compete in games. For now, it's free to use. Now, Nike said that in the first 5 months of 2022, Nikeland was visited by 6.7 million people from all around the world. Even in February 2022, NBA champion James LeBron visited Nikeland for a special session on Roblox to give lessons on basketball to fans and other visitors. Roblox users can visit the Nikeland showroom to sell the LeBron 90s shoes. Then there is another company like Dyson. This is a home appliance maker known for its vacuums, and has built the Dyson Demo VR. It allows people to use simulation and visualization technology so one can test its hair dryers, stylers, and hair straighteners at home. And finally, let's make another example in fashion business. We all heard about the Metaverse Fashion Week. There is a need of an Ethereum wallet, cryptocurrency, to purchase NFTs on comparable clothes. most events have an open invitation, but some brands have a VIP access on front row seats. Of course, there is a need of better laptops to assist to the event. And then finally, we have Christian Dior, a luxury fashion house that is partnering with the Metaverse avatar platform Ready Player Me to promote our Metaverse. So all these examples give you a taste of how important Metaverse is for the future, for the survival of the companies.
Could I just ask, I was going to ask you what Metaverse revenues could happen. I mean, how companies could generate revenue. But I think you've pretty much touched on that. But what I would like to ask is, what are the risks for Metaverse for business?
Sure. The risks are very severe and very concrete. Therefore, we have to bear them in mind. First of all, there is a potential for hackers to gain control of Metaverse. In general, governments have been sluggish in their approach to cybersecurity concerns, such as the rise of artificial intelligence-enabled misinformation, including videos and what they are called deep fakes. There is a potential for deep fake issues that make you confused about discerning reality from the Metaverse. Also, deep fakes are used to trick users into giving away personal details, to convince them of something happening that has not happened or not true. And the amount of data captured in the Metaverse and the importance of this data is huge. Therefore, there's a need of regulation to protect our data. Let's see in concrete example. Virtual reality systems work by capturing extensive biological data about a user's body. They include pupil dilatation, eye movement, facial expression, skin temperature, emotional responses to stimuli. Spending just 20 minutes in the VR simulation leaves nearly 2 million unique recordings of body language. This is a huge amount of data, our data that must be controlled. Even users wearing a full body tracking suit can have a seizure, as it happened in the past in a VR chat session. So, and a concrete example happened even in the Meta's Horizon worlds. A beta tester declared that her avatar was groped by a stranger. And even worse was that other people supported this behavior, which made the tester feel isolated in the Horizon worlds. There is a risk of sexual harassment in VR and Metaverse. But in the case of Horizon worlds, there's a possibility of blocking someone from interacting with you. A rolling buffer, what you see, is saved locally on your Oculus headsets and then sent to Meta for human review if an incident happens. So there are many concerns about Metaverse and risks related to that, as you can see.
Thank you, Massimo. Shayer, given the low penetration of VR headsets till now, are we sure enough people will actually be on or in the Metaverse?
That's actually a great question, Alan. So I think what's important for us to understand when we talk about the Metaverse is the separation between the hardware and the platform. And I believe John touched on this in his presentation before me, right? But if you look at the Metaverse as technology of the future, it's very similar to the internet. And where, like the internet in the beginning, you could only access it if you had a desktop or a computer and a modem, etc. And now you're able to access the internet from your phone, your desktop, your laptop, your printer, your PlayStation, right? So you're able to access the platform from all sorts of devices. It's very similar when it comes to the Metaverse, right? So the platform is best experienced and immersed in with the VR and AR headsets. But that's not to say that that's the only way to access the Metaverse, right? So today already, and Massimo touched on it already with Roblox, right, and Minecraft, and there's so many of these centralized metaverses that exist today that, in fact, you can only access through your desktop or your mobile. You can't access yet through your VR headset. So, yes, I think the more the VR headset penetration grows, the more immersed and the more adopted the technology will be. But that's not necessarily a barrier to adoption yet.
So what do you see as the biggest barriers for companies to embrace this technology to drive their business?
So I would say, Alan, a couple of things. One would be education, understanding, right? So as brand owners or business owners, is making sure to educate yourself on the platform, its possibilities versus its restrictions, or its pitfalls, right? So one is definitely education. And second is, and Massimo touched on it a little bit, is understanding the consumers that are on these platforms, right? So understanding the mindset of the Gen Zers, right? So where we who grew up in the era of social media and are used to seeing a YouTube ad or an Instagram feed ad, right? The Gen Zers on these platforms, they don't want to be interacted the same way as the past, as the Web 2 platforms, right? So when a brand gets onto a Web 3 platform or a Metaverse platform, it's important to make sure we adapt our communication style and our assets to better fit the Gen Z's expectations, right? So if you take a YouTube video that you had in your Web 2 or your social campaign and you put it on a Metaverse platform, you're probably going to get very low engagement and low ROI on your advertising. But if as a brand like Nike or Wendy's, right, you're able to adapt your communication style on the Metaverse platforms, you will in fact see much higher ROI and engagement versus even your social media advertising campaigns.
Alan, another barrier could be the cost of building these systems. For users to have content and have Metaverse applications, companies, they have to build those content and systems. And at this point, at the current time, it is very expensive to build Metaverse, truly immersive kind of applications. That's not saying that we should stop or put a pause on it. The Metaverse, I believe, is a natural evolution to Web 2.0. Both my colleagues Shire and Massimo, they brought up very good, interesting ideas, whether it's the fakes that will be marketed on the Metaverse, but those fakes also exist in real life, right? Right now, Gucci and other big brands, they're suffering a lot because of the fake products. Metaverse and digital platforms, maybe they will make it easier. But again, that's why since 2016, I've been really promoting the blockchain for the good that it adds. And I believe the Metaverse, I did not expect the Metaverse to come to existence so fast. And I'm happy to see the evolution from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0 and the Metaverse. But to counter the negativity that comes with it, that's where companies like us should really embrace blockchain to protect avatars and any digital assets that we put out there. And then our users, the consumers, they could tell and they can verify if that's a fake product or genuine product.
Absolutely.
So, Dr. Hussam, is Metaverse of value to all types of businesses?
I believe so. Just like my colleague Shire said, the regular internet that we see now, maybe 15 years ago, it was difficult for small companies to have their own existence, whether it's a website or e-commerce site or what have you. Now, within 15 minutes, they can have one. The Metaverse, the same thing. As of today, it's not easily accessible to everybody to build their own digital twin. But 2 years, 3 years, depending on how fast the technology moves, yes, it will be accessible to everybody, to all businesses of all sizes. And it is definitely of value to all types of businesses. Now, the value really varies from business to business, depending, and governments as well, depending on how much interaction they have with consumers. The least I see Metaverse adding is a new touch point or a new way of interacting with their end users. If it's a government, if it's a business, they want to enhance the way they interact with their consumers. So that is the least everybody can benefit from the metaverse.
Massimo, how would you say that companies would best generate revenue from the metaverse?
Well, what I would stress is the different approaches that have been used right now by the existing companies. That is a concrete example. We all know that Meta, for instance, opened up its virtual reality platform Horizon Worlds for users in the US and Canada in December 2021. This is an expansive multiplayer platform that resembles Roblox and the Oasis VR world from Ready Player One. Now, in the case of Meta, we can see very concretely that Meta's earnings take a big share of the users, in a sense that of the creator, sorry, because in the case of Horizon Worlds purchases for Meta on Quest Store for VR titles, Meta gets 30% percentage fee. On top of it, it takes another 25% of the percentage that's left after platform fee. In the end, the creator using the Meta's platform will be left with about half of the sale price. Effectively, Meta charges 47.5% fees on their Metaverse platform. This is before taxes and gas fees. So creators are left with less than 50% of their price. Then we have Roblox, for instance. We know that Roblox, this video game platform, announced plans for Metaverse that is built around its players. And Roblox wants to create a virtual space where people can come together with millions of 3D experiences to learn, work, play, and create and socialize. This is a venue for free games, but it allows also users to generate new activities of their own. And there's also a marketplace to sell those experiences, as well as side products like outfits for a personalized avatar. So you buy a virtual asset, example a hat, you sell it later to other users. There's a possibility of cashing out cryptos or NFTs like in blockchain games. So this is a very profitable business for Roblox. And then also we have another example of Epic Games. This is a company behind the video games. It allows gamers to participate in dance parties, in virtual concerts, such as the one that pop star Ariana Grande had. And of course, they make money out of it. And therefore, this is a very profitable business for the metaverse companies.
Chair, a devil's advocate question now. Something that people ask me all the time because I'm involved in Metaverse. If I buy an NFT, let's say a digital piece of art, what stops someone else from just copying it, screenshotting it, and then they've got my NFT image for themselves?
I think if each of us had $1 every time someone asked us that, we wouldn't need to sell NFTs. No, but that's a very good question. I get asked that all the time. Absolutely. The way I explain it, Alan, is that today, if you go and visit the Louvre, right, and you take a look at the Mona Lisa, right, that's one of a kind. And we know that is the original Mona Lisa because the Louvre, right, which is an underlying entity, tells us and authenticates that for us that is the real Mona Lisa. Whereas everyone and anyone has a desktop background of the Mona Lisa. I have a Mona Lisa magnet on my fridge. My mom bought it, right? So you can have you can have thousands of copies of an original piece, right? That people can claim to be original, whether they're counterfeiters or people just trying to flex. Or you can only have one original piece. So similarly with an NFT, with the underlying technology of blockchain, right? The blockchain plays the role of the Louvre in this point, or in this story, right? Where they authenticate that this was the original piece or NFT or art piece created by that creator and is recorded in the blockchain. And some would say, myself included, that is in fact more trustworthy and more credible than the Louvre telling me that, that's the original Mona Lisa, because the Louvre, right, it's still human controlled. The person or the expert running the Louvre could have fall prey to human error. They could be lying for some other nefarious reasons. Whereas with blockchain and the decentralized nature of it, right, no one person can go in and alter a record of the originality of a piece. So yes, people can copy it and make it their desktop or put it on their wallet and say that I own it. But eventually, there's proof that it's a fake.
But even if they copy it, sorry, Alan, even if they copy it, it's just like copying a Rolex. Some people, they enjoy buying a Rolex for $100, but does it really have the true value of the original, authentic Rolex?
Yes.
So NFT is the same.
Indeed. If someone takes a picture of your Ferrari, they haven't got your Ferrari. One would hope. And a similarly loaded question to you then, Dr. Hussam. Is the metaverse just a hype buzzword or a reality that businesses should pay attention to?
Yes, and unfortunately, there's a lot of hype, but also that hype is good. Sometimes we really need a lot of hype for everybody to pay attention to the important subject or matter that we are discussing. It is overhyped, but that is, again, very positive. We are getting kids now who are studying languages, preparing them for the metaverse. Educators hopefully will start creating courseware to prepare the new generation for metaverse. Companies that I deal with, even in Saudi Arabia, now they are asking, some of them are trying to experiment. And my advice, it's okay, go with the hype. That hype will eventually become reality because that's, again, natural evolution. We cannot stop it. And you have no choice of sitting on the sideline. You will be left out if you don't engage yourself now. But depending on how much you can risk, that's how much you can go and experiment into the metaverse. My advice, don't spend too much at this point. Spend a little, at least you get your hands dirty with the metaverse. Your people in the company get to know what the metaverse is like, and be prepared if you have to scrap it and start all over again.
We have an audience question as well, which has just come in. Thank you for asking this. And the question is metaverse only for deep pocket brands? How can it benefit to startups and SMEs? Massimo, would you like to chip in on that?
Yeah, that is not true. It's not only for big brands. It's also important to see where you position yourself, because of course, if you use Meta's platform, it's going to be good and immediate access to a huge audience, but at the same time, you're going to pay half of what you earn to Meta. So you have to make it your own choice depending on what your profit and loss forecast is and how you're going to position yourself in the market. To find yourself in a metaverse market in a profitable way, it's a challenge. Therefore, you have to explore all the opportunities. But for sure, it's not something that is only for the big guys.
I'd actually like to add a point there, Alan. So I've worked on several big brands and global brands in the past, right? And historically, in fact, like when Facebook came up and Instagram came up, it was the deep pocket clients that had the first opportunity or the first mover advantage to advertise on those platforms, right? The guys like P&Gs and the Pepsis and the Coca-Colas who had the deep pockets, who could then go out and bid for awareness or bid a campaign on Facebook or Instagram, right? Whereas the smaller guys wouldn't have such deep pockets to be able to advertise on those platforms. Now, in fact, we're seeing a shift where anyone can go onto any of the metaverse platforms like Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite, right? And in fact, more than paying to drive awareness on those platforms, they start to earn to interact with the audience, right? Either through the form of NFTs or skins or power-ups, right? So for the first time, all brands, not just the big ones, have an opportunity to monetize their marketing campaigns, right? So you're not just paying Facebook millions of dollars to reach, X number of consumers anymore. Now, in fact, if you put out a creative or a strong enough NFT or a skin or a power-up, and your consumers or the audiences on those platforms want to use it right? You're getting paid to drive awareness for your product already on those platforms. So I think it's going to be a massive shift towards, a decentralization of marketing power to the smaller brands.
True, democratizing economy.
Absolutely.
That is true, giving opportunity to everybody.
Absolutely.
We have one more audience question, which we may just have time for, and it says, does it mean that blockchain authenticates NFT creations and therefore how many times it's copied? It will remain authentic with the creators? ? Yes, I think they're asking, will it remain authentic even though it is copied many times? I don't think it can be copied many times on the blockchain, but it can be sold on many times. Would you like to comment on that, Shaya?
Yeah, you could claim authenticating by putting your copy of the original. You can put the copy on the blockchain,
yes.
But it doesn't mean the copy is the original.
No.
And that's the beauty of the blockchain. If you can put anything you want on the blockchain, but because you have a timestamp, you will know who originally created that piece of art or digital asset.
That's right. So, if you take the example of the famous slap that happened at the Oscars, right? So, a video clip of that had been NFT or tokenized. I think the number was about 80,000 times, right? So, quick entrepreneurs took a video or a screen capture of the slap and went and tokenized it on the blockchain and started selling it as an NFT or as a collectible, right? But the first person to do it, and to Hussam's point of who timestamped it as the very first tokenization of that clip, he was able to sell that clip for, I think, about $200,000, whereas the remaining 79,999 people, their copy was worthless, because even though it's the exact same clip, and even though the first person to tokenize it didn't really have any ownership or creator rights to that clip, but he was the first, or she was the first person to tokenize it on the blockchain, it held the most value.
Also, there was a last example of fractionalization of NFTs that were bought for a high value, but they were fractionalized and were worth many times what the amount that was spent in the beginning. That is an interesting use case as well.
We've got one more question here, just fit it in, and it says, how can healthcare marketing benefit from the hype? And now I know we will be talking about healthcare in the next panel session, but if anybody would like to chip in on that and tell me what you think, that would be great. Massimo, have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I wanted to make an example also about the avatars, because they are the essence of metaverse. In my opinion, if we look at the future, there will be basic avatars, simple avatars to be used like in metaverse weddings, parties, and there is a limited interaction. Then there are play-to-earn games, simple avatars, and there is an immediate use case, blockchain games with avatars and metaverse environment. There is a possibility to earn money, and then there is holographic images projected in the environment, and with the headsets of glasses required, and the use case is exactly medical application. So, in fact, I always make this funny example, but it gives you an idea. Let's say that I'm on an island spending holidays, and then all of a sudden I need my doctor from another part of the world. Then with the metaverse, a holographic figure of his can be projected in the environment and interact with the local doctor and tell the local doctor what to do, knowing my background and my medical record. So this is a very interesting application for healthcare and metaverse.
Absolutely.
So, point, Alan, that I would say, in fact, from a marketing standpoint, that healthcare companies can really benefit from the hype. One is, of course, reduced regulation, right? So typically in healthcare, whether it's pharmaceuticals or actual doctors or clinics, when you advertise in Web 2 or in the real world, out of home, etc., you're subject to certain regulations, whereas on the decentralized platforms, it's reduced. And second is, of course, benefit association. So let's take an example for, let's say, Panadol, right, where it gives you relief of pain. If you are in a game like Roblox or Decentraland, where your avatar experiences some form of hurt as part of the game, and you take a Panadol power-up, right? A digital virtual power-up, and it cures you of that ailment. What it does for you as a brand, or as Panadol as a brand, is it builds that benefit association with your user, right, who's in fact a young Gen Zer, so that when they enter into the real world and need something that can help them deal with pain or reduce an illness, they start thinking, oh, Panadol, in the digital world, it clearly helped my avatar. So physically, it probably, so you get to start building brand association very early on with the consumer.
Thank you very much. And I'll just I'll say we're out of time. So thank you, Massimo and Shayer and Hussam. And Hussam, we will be joining you again in the education panel just a little later. So we look forward to talking to you then. And it will be the healthcare panel next. So I'm sure this subject is going to carry on. Thank you, gents, for joining us. It's been a great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alan. Pleasure.
Thank you.